Since India and Pakistan were created after the partition of British India in 1947, they have been involved in several wars, conflicts, and military standoffs. Most of these were due to the ongoing dispute over Kashmir and issues related to cross-border terrorism. The only major exception was the 1971 war, which was caused by the Bangladesh Liberation War and what was then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. The partition happened suddenly in 1947, when independence was granted. The goal was to create two separate and equal countries, Pakistan for Muslims and India, Hindustan, for others. However, about one-third of India's Muslim population stayed in India after the split. The partition triggered widespread violence between Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims, resulting in an estimated 200,000 to 2 million deaths and around 14 million people being forced to move across the new borders. At the time, princely states in India were given the choice to join either India or Pakistan through an instrument of accession. Several wars, conflicts, and military standoffs are as follows. Indo-Pakistani War of 1947 to 1948. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1947 to 1948, also called the First Kashmir War, was fought between India and Pakistan over the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. It was the first of 4 wars between the two countries after they gained independence. The conflict began when Pakistan sent tribal militias from Waziristan into Kashmir to try to seize the region before its ruler could join India. At the time, Kashmir's ruler, Maharaja Hari Singh, was facing a rebellion in the western part of his state. On October 22, 1947, Pakistani tribal fighters crossed into Kashmir and advanced toward the capital, Srinagar, but paused in Baramulla to loot, delaying their progress. In response, the Maharaja asked India for military help. India agreed on the condition that he formally join India, which he did on October 26, 1947. Indian troops were then flown into Srinagar to defend the region. At first, British officers prevented Pakistani regular forces from joining the fight, but in 1948, Pakistan's army officially entered the war. The fighting eventually stabilized along a ceasefire line, later called the Line of Control. A ceasefire was declared on January 1, 1949. The war ended without a clear winner, though many believe India had the upper hand, as it retained control of most of the disputed territory. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1965, also called the Second Indo-Pakistani War, was a military conflict between India and Pakistan from August to September 1965. It started after Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar, aiming to send fighters into Jammu and Kashmir to spark a rebellion against Indian rule. The plan failed, leading to a full-scale war. The war lasted 17 days and caused heavy casualties on both sides. It included the biggest tank battles since World War II and intense fighting in Kashmir and along the India-Pakistan border. The conflict involved ground troops, tanks, air forces, and some naval action. It also saw the largest buildup of troops in Kashmir since 1947. A ceasefire was declared after diplomatic efforts by the Soviet Union and the United States, leading to the Tashkent Declaration. At the time of the ceasefire, India had the military advantage on the ground, while Pakistan's air force held some control in the skies despite being smaller. Though the war ended in a military standoff, it is widely seen as a strategic loss for Pakistan, as it failed to trigger an uprising in Kashmir and had to defend its own territory instead. India also did not achieve its goal of deterring Pakistan or fully using its military advantage before the ceasefire. The war influenced global politics, especially during the Cold War. Before the war, both India and Pakistan had strong support from the US and UK. However, during the conflict, both felt let down by the West, especially after an arms embargo was imposed on both sides. As a result, India grew closer to the Soviet Union, and Pakistan aligned more with China. This shift shaped future relations, and the mistrust of Western powers in the region has continued to some extent even today. Indo-Pakistani War of 1971. The 1971 war between India and Pakistan was different from earlier conflicts because it was not about Kashmir. Instead, it was triggered by a political crisis in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. Tensions grew between Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the leader of East Pakistan, and West Pakistani leaders Yahya Khan and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. This eventually led to East Pakistan declaring independence as Bangladesh. After Pakistan launched a brutal crackdown called Operation Searchlight, and widespread atrocities took place in East Pakistan, around 10 million people fled to India. In response, India supported the Bangladesh independence movement and joined the conflict. The war began with a preemptive airstrike by Pakistan, leading to full-scale fighting. Pakistan attacked along India's western border, but Indian forces held their ground and counterattacked. India captured about 15,000 square kilometers of Pakistani territory in Kashmir, Punjab, and Sindh, though it later returned this land after the 1972 Simla Agreement as a goodwill gesture. In just 2 weeks, Pakistani forces in East Pakistan surrendered to Indian and Bangladeshi troops, and Bangladesh became an independent country. Over 90,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered. According to a Pakistani writer, Pakistan lost half its navy, a quarter of its air force, and a third of its army in the war. Kargil War, 1999. The Kargil War was a conflict between India and Pakistan that took place from May to July 1999 in the Kargil region of Ladakh, near the line of control, which separates the two countries in the disputed area of Kashmir. In India, the military operation was called Operation Vijay, and the Indian Air Force's part in it was named Operation Safe Sagar. The war began when Pakistani soldiers, disguised as Kashmiri militants, secretly crossed the line of control and took control of key positions on the Indian side. Pakistan initially claimed that the attackers were independent militants, but evidence, including documents from dead soldiers and later admissions by Pakistani leaders, proved that regular Pakistani forces were involved. India responded by launching a military operation to push the infiltrators out. The Indian Army, supported by the Air Force, eventually recaptured most of the territory. Under pressure from the international community, Pakistan withdrew from the remaining positions. The Kargil War was notable for being fought in high-altitude, mountainous terrain, which made logistics and combat very challenging. It was also one of the few wars between countries that both had nuclear weapons. India tested its first nuclear bomb in 1974, and Pakistan did so in 1998, just after India conducted more tests. About the conflicts. Apart from the aforementioned wars, there have been other regional conflicts between the two nations from time to time, which have not bordered on all-out war. Siachen Conflict, 1984 to 2003. The Siachen conflict was a military standoff between India and Pakistan over the Siachen Glacier, a disputed area in Kashmir covering about 1,000 square miles, approximately 2,590 square kilometers. It began in 1984 when India launched Operation Meghdoot and took control of the glacier. This was followed by Operation Rajiv in 1987. India now controls the 70-kilometer-long glacier, including key mountain passes and high points along the Saltoro Ridge. Pakistan holds the valleys just west of this ridge. Although a ceasefire was declared in 2003, both countries still keep a strong military presence there. Thousands of soldiers have died, mostly due to harsh weather and dangerous terrain rather than combat. Many outside observers see the conflict as pointless because the land holds little practical value, yet both nations remain unwilling to give it up due to ongoing tensions and national pride. The Siachen Glacier is the highest battlefield in the world, where India and Pakistan have been in conflict since April 13, 1984. Both countries keep soldiers stationed there at over 6,000 meters above sea level. Over 2,000 people have died, mainly due to harsh weather and dangerous mountain conditions, not combat. The dispute began because the border beyond a point on the map called NJ 9842 was never clearly marked. Agreements in 1949, Karachi Agreement, and 1972, Simla Agreement, only said the ceasefire line ended at NJ 9842, without saying who controlled the glacier. The UN believed the area was so remote and unlivable that it wouldn't be contested, but it became a source of conflict anyway. 2025 India-Pakistan conflict. The 2025 India-Pakistan conflict was a short war that began on May 7, 2025, when India launched missile strikes on Pakistan under Operation Sindoor. India said this was in response to a deadly attack on April 22 in Pahalgam, Kashmir, where militants killed 26 civilians, mostly Hindu tourists. India blamed Pakistan for supporting the militants, but Pakistan denied this. India said its strikes targeted the camps of militant groups Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, not the Pakistani military. Pakistan, however, claimed the strikes hit civilian areas, including mosques. In response, there were border clashes and drone attacks. On May 10, Pakistan launched Operation Bunyan Mahsoos, saying it targeted Indian military bases. India claimed these strikes hit civilian areas, including religious sites. India then expanded Operation Sindoor to strike Pakistani military targets. This conflict became the first drone war between the two nuclear-armed countries. The fighting ended after 4 days when both sides agreed to a ceasefire through direct communication between their military officials. Flights resumed, and peace returned to both countries afterward. About the skirmishes, incidents, and standoffs. Besides full-scale wars, India and Pakistan have had several smaller military clashes and tense standoffs that worsened their relationship and caught global attention. Operation Desert Hawk. This was a military operation launched by Pakistan in the Rann of Kutch, a disputed area that was under Indian control. The boundary there remained unresolved since the 1947 partition. Operation Brass Tacks. From November 1986 to March 1987, India conducted its largest ever military exercise. Pakistan responded with its own troop mobilization, raising fears of a possible war. 1999 Pakistani Atlantic shootdown. On August 10, 1999, shortly after the Kargil War, India shot down a Pakistani Navy surveillance aircraft, claiming it entered Indian airspace. All 16 people on board died. While India said the aircraft was spying, some international diplomats said it might have only briefly crossed the border before crashing in Pakistan. Many foreign observers felt India's reaction was too harsh. 2001 to 2002 India-Pakistan standoff. After terrorists attacked the Indian parliament on December 13, 2001, India blamed Pakistan-based groups, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. This led to a tense military standoff, bringing both countries close to war. 2008 India-Pakistan standoff. Following the 2008 Mumbai attacks, where terrorists carried out coordinated shootings and bombings, India accused Pakistan's intelligence agency of helping the attackers. Pakistan denied this. Tensions rose as both countries increased military readiness, but diplomatic efforts helped calm the situation, and Pakistan pulled its troops back from the border. 2011 border skirmish. From August 30 to September 1, 2011, fighting broke out along the line of control in the Kupwara/Neelam Valley area. 5 Indian and 3 Pakistani soldiers died. Each side blamed the other for starting the conflict. 2013 Mendhar sector incident. In 2013, in the Mendhar sector of Jammu and Kashmir, an Indian soldier was reportedly beheaded during a border clash. A total of 22 soldiers, 12 Indian and 10 Pakistani, were killed. This caused serious outrage in India. 2014 to 2015 border incidents. Skirmishes began in the Arnia sector of Jammu and Kashmir after one Indian Border Security Force soldier was killed and several soldiers and civilians were injured by firing from Pakistan Rangers. This led to more cross-border firing during the period. 2016 to 2018 India-Pakistan border skirmishes. On September 29, 2016, India announced it had carried out surgical strikes across the line of control in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, targeting militant camps in response to a terrorist attack in Uri that killed 19 Indian soldiers. India claimed many militants were killed. Pakistan denied that such strikes happened and said only a border skirmish occurred, killing 2 of its soldiers. Pakistan also claimed 8 Indian soldiers were killed and 1 was captured, but India confirmed only 1 soldier in custody and denied other casualties. After this, both countries continued exchanging fire along the line of control, leading to more military and civilian deaths on both sides. 2019 India-Pakistan skirmishes, Pulwama-Balakot episode. On February 14, 2019, a suicide bombing in Pulwama, Indian Kashmir, killed over 40 Indian paramilitary troops. The attack was claimed by Jaish-e-Mohammed, a group based in Pakistan. On February 26, India responded with airstrikes in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, claiming it destroyed a GEM training camp and killed many militants. Pakistan denied any such losses. Satellite images later suggested the damage was minimal. Pakistan closed the site to the media for over a month. The next day, air combat took place between Indian and Pakistani jets. Pakistan said it shot down 2 Indian aircraft and captured pilot Abhinandan Varthaman, who was later released on March 1 to ease tensions. India said it only lost 1 MiG-21 and claimed to have shot down a Pakistani F-16, which Pakistan denied. India showed missile parts and radar footage to support its claim, while Pakistan said its F-16s were all accounted for and released missile parts from the Indian jet to suggest none were fired. A U.S. magazine reported that U.S. officials found no F-16 missing in Pakistan, though the Pentagon gave no formal statement. Months later, India flew the same Su-30 Mki in a parade that Pakistan had earlier claimed it shot down. These events significantly raised tensions and led to regular firing across the line of control afterward. 2020 to 2021 India-Pakistan border incidents. In November 2020, heavy gunfire and shelling broke out between Indian and Pakistani troops along the line of control, killing at least 22 people, including 11 civilians. Pakistan said India violated the ceasefire over 2,700 times in 2020, causing 21 civilian deaths and over 200 injuries. In February 2021, both countries released a joint statement agreeing to follow all existing ceasefire agreements starting February 25, 2021. They also agreed to use hotlines and border meetings to prevent future issues. 2025 India-Pakistan standoff. On April 23, 2025, a terrorist attack in Bizaran Valley, Jammu and Kashmir, killed 27 people, including Hindu and Christian tourists and a local Muslim, and injured over 20. A group called the Resistance Front, linked to the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility. India blamed Pakistan for supporting terrorism, expelled Pakistani diplomats, suspended visas and the Indus Waters Treaty, and closed borders. Pakistan denied involvement and responded with trade bans, airspace and border closures, and suspension of the Simla Agreement. India also warned its citizens to avoid travel to Pakistan and asked those there to return quickly. Proxy wars until present. Kashmir insurgency 1989. Armed conflict in Jammu and Kashmir has increased tensions between India and Pakistan. India blames Pakistan-supported militant groups for many terrorist attacks across the country. Balochistan insurgency 1948. In Pakistan's Balochistan province, an ongoing insurgency has also created friction. Pakistan accuses India of supporting separatists and militant groups like the Balochistan Liberation Army, often through leaders in exile and training camps in Afghanistan. In 2016, Pakistan said it captured an Indian spy, Kulbhushan Jadhav, in Balochistan. Afghan conflict 1978. India and Pakistan have supported opposite sides in Afghanistan's conflicts, including the Soviet-Afghan War and later civil wars. In 2006, India accused Pakistan of promoting terrorism in Afghanistan. In 2020, Pakistan accused India of trying to disrupt Afghan peace talks.